So yeah, welcome to all our shared fans. This is a Kickstarter roundtable of people who are launching or getting ready to launch their first Kickstarters as a way to keep fans and other general Kickstarter interested people in the loop about the process. And it's funny because I was thinking we do launches, but the more I look into it, the more I realize the launch is not the launch. The pre-launch isn't even the launch. There is the pre-launch, which is I think where some of us are. But hey, before I keep going, let me introduce everybody. Joel, you want to say who you are? Tell me about your Kickstarter and what stage you're at.
Yeah, hello. I'm Joel Thurmon. I live in Greeley, Colorado, so just north of Denver by about an hour. I'm a PhD media studies student. I study comic book history, and for the first time, I get to call myself a comic book writer. Yeah, thank you. It's been a super exciting project. I launched it outside of my studies. It's just something I've always wanted to do, and yeah, so I have a comic book called Dissenter. It is a archaeology themed survival horror story. It's intended to be 6 issues, and I launched my first issue on January 3rd, and so it closes on February 2nd. And It's been going pretty well. I've learned a lot, and this last year working with the artists and the colorists and stuff has been a wonderful collaborative experience.
Awesome, awesome. John, tell me about you.
Yeah, so I've been doing comics and stuff since '03. Did web comics for a long time. I actually this is my fifth Kickstarter or fifth or sixth one I've done. But it's the first for a non-comic book because I'm doing I have a novel, I wrote a novel, and this is my
Oh, a
first.
novel. Okay.
Yeah, it's a full novel. But previously I've done I did two Kickstarters for my Joel and Only series. I've done one for a horror series called Iron's Anthology. I did one for a comedy war series called Sergeant Blicky and his Brigade of Fantastic. And then late last year, I coded one with my podcast co-host Kenrick, his book called Supernatural Baby Detective, where I did the colors and all the art direction on it as well. But the one I'm doing now, which is delayed until I think mid-February, is for my novel, which is I have the proof for right here, which is Memoirs of a Suicide, which is a
Oh,
story about a guy who takes his own life and then learns more about himself after he does. And it's loosely based or inspired by the death of my nephew when I was 22. And
oh, awesome.
it took me 20 years to write this book, and this is part one of a 3-book series that they're all done, but this is the first one's coming out next month.
Awesome. I'm just curious to do how should I put a little tangent? The comic fans that you've built, do you find they're receptive to switching to novel?
So I think so, and I think most of it's because my 20 years making comics and web comics has been so eclectic. Everything from dick and fart jokes ranging from like Kevin Smith and potty humor to serious horror and thriller supernatural stuff to complete stuff that's messing with your head. So I've gone like the whole gamut. The only thing I really haven't done is superhero stuff. But I never like I read superhero stuff, but I don't write superhero stuff or draw it as
Yeah.
well. But and I've released some prose stuff before, like poems and short stories. So it's like it's not out of the norm for me to do non-comic book stuff.
Mhm.
But this is the first like full-on novel that I've gone from start to finish. And I've actually, like I said, I've finished all 3 of them, and I've been talking about it, and a lot of people are interested in it and curious. I've had a couple people read it already, and it's gotten great reviews so far, which is nice. But yeah, it's been interesting going flipping from, because like my last Kickstarter was Joel and the Only, which is just it's the best way to describe it is it's insanity. It's an ADHD nightmare in comic book form. Like it really
Okay.
is. And it funded back in December. It did well. But this is like complete opposite of that because this is very much a serious tone. And it's got like humor in it, but it's a very serious topic, and it doesn't take itself lightly. So it's a total tone shift. But I feel like a lot of people who like the dark humor, the potty humor, the stuff that's really insane, also appreciate the opposite of the mind messing stuff. So it messes your head. So
Yeah. That's good to hear because you hear people say the value of branding, which has some value, but it's good to
it
hear
does.
like how should I put it? You don't have to do one thing. You're not trapped in
Yeah.
that.
I also don't care about branding for myself. I want to write and draw what I want to write and draw. Like if I want to write a Western story, I'm gonna write a Western story. I don't care if it's not on brand for me. What's on brand for me is what I feel like creating.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
once
how
you
I've
go out
always
and do
been.
things, you can become the brand.
Exactly. I've always felt I should do what I want to do.
Yeah. Okay, great, great. Okay. But yeah, this leads to an interesting question because there's the launch, but then there's the pre-launch, and then there's the pre-launch. And let's see, Joel, you've actually launched, like talk about the time frame. Like how much time did you take before you did the pre-launch and then pre-launch to launch? And we'll first talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I initially intended to launch in November, because it was an archaeology themed story. I wanted to launch it along the dates of, the historic dates of King Tutankhamun's discovery in November. And, I had this whole thing planned out about like historical information tied in with like this fiction that I'm writing that's completely non-adjacent to King Tut, but it's like it was a cool moment to do archaeology stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but then that went away because one of my artists had some one of my cover artists had some setbacks, some family stuff happening, so he couldn't work on side projects and whatnot. And so I ended up delaying to January,
Mhm.
and in that whole process, discovered I wasn't even ready to launch in November if I wanted to.
I was
Um,
going to ask, was the delay a blessing in disguise sometimes?
It was a blessing in disguise. I did have enough that Kickstarter had approved the project, but I hadn't thought through yet all of like the tiers and what shipping was going to look like, how distribution was going to happen.
Mhm.
Um, I hadn't thought about. We discussed this just before we started the recording. I hadn't even thought about like paper quality. That one of I had sent a PDF copy for review, and one of the reviewers kicked back to me, and they're like, "We'd really love a physical copy so that we can, feel it and see the quality." And I'm just like, I have no idea. I just
Yeah.
assumed it was going to be a standard, a standard thing. So that was an experience. Yeah, there's so much involved with planning a launch, and that's not even getting into building up a fan base, which I've just relied on social media like Kickstarter, or sorry, not Kickstarter. To some degree Kickstarter when I had the preview page, but Facebook and Instagram primarily. And then I I resorted to having to purchase some Facebook ads too to try and get some more traffic. Um,
How'd you find the ads? Because I always wonder about those. Like, how
um,
effective were they?
they've well, it's a mix. So once I created a business page for my comic, I was able to do ad promotions. Um, they were effective in what they said they could do. One of them, they give you different options. Like we can target individuals that like and share pages. We can target individuals that will make messages and interact with you using those algorithms. And I was all about the liking and sharing because I wanted people to join. And then the moment they liked my page, I invited them to my page, and I've been blasting them with stuff. Um,
You got them.
Out of the, I started with 0 followers. I think I'm around like 80 or 90 to my Facebook page, which is pretty good.
Mhm.
And about half, if not more, of those came from people from the ads. So it worked. And I think 4 or 5 of them have backed the project as well.
Yeah, so you can get them from the Facebook to the Kickstarter page with relative ease.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Whether or not it's been, cost effective, that remains to be seen. But
I know, I know. Well, especially with these first ones, because you gotta, you don't want to be out of pocket, but you also know, how should I put it? You're building a foundation for the next project, the next, Yeah, I mean, I've seen those campaigns where it's like, we'll send you the 64-page full color fancy graphic novel if we get to, $500. And I'm like, ooh, yeah, they're clearly taking a risk there, but
yeah,
they're a risk to take.
yeah.
How about you, John? Have you done what have you done to like promote?
So honestly, for this book, the only really promotion I've done for the novel is just social media stuff and talking about it on my podcast and on when I go on other shows talking about it. I haven't done a lot of anything beyond that. Kind of because the Kickstarter plan for this book was almost a last minute afterthought after my last Kickstarter because I was launching it on Amazon and other like online platforms, and I was like, you know what, it'd be kind of fun to do a novel on Kickstarter and kind of do like a special edition and see how that does because
Mhm.
I like that stuff, and I figured if I like it, somebody else probably likes it too. So my cohort and I, Kenrick, we have a little publishing studio called Spoilerverse Comics, and so we're releasing it under that, and we do our stuff under that name. And I decided let's make a special edition, let's make it kind of cool. Um, since I'm also an artist, each chapter in the book has like its own like art cover as well.
Oh, nice.
So there's a bunch of like art pieces in the book plus the writing. So like the Kickstarter, I can have like the artwork, I can have print packs, I can sell original art from the book, stuff like that. The cover has a painting I did on it, and so it's all kind of stuff there. But I've thought about doing ads on Facebook and stuff like that, and I did them a long time ago for one of my old Kickstarter projects. And back then, it sounds like it's changed, but it was like almost a waste of money, you know. I think I put like $100 in Facebook ads, but this is like 2016, 2015. And I think I got like 10 people to like my page from it. And I was like, this is a waste of money. But
10
also it
bucks
was
per like.
right, exactly. Like, that's a lot of money. You know, I did
Yeah.
not make that back in the Kickstarter. But I
Yeah.
mean,
Are you still
I've
doing
heard it's changed.
Facebook
I
as
have
your main promotion?
So I do Instagram, which also posts to Facebook. And then I just started making TikToks, which I feel weird because I'm, 41 years old on TikTok and my kids are on TikTok. So it's like, just seems odd,
Yeah.
but it seems
Just
to
watch
work.
them on Instagram Reels like a grown up.
Right.
I'm joking, but yeah.
But yeah, so I do Instagram and TikTok mostly. Mostly Instagram because I don't always want to like put a camera in front of my face and talk to it because I feel awkward talking to myself in a camera. But
Yeah.
mostly I do Instagram posts and then those feed out to like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that.
Okay. Cool. And just to get time frame, so you're getting ready for the pre-launch, right?
Yeah.
And then how long is your pre-launch going to be? You think?
Once I can launch the pre-launch page, 'cause I can't do it yet because I found out that Kickstarter. I hadn't done a Kickstarter in a long time, and I did one in October to November, or November to December, and then I found out now you can't launch a new one until you finish the one before that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Whereas before you could launch if I had finished one and like started the process of fulfilling it, I could launch a new one. Like I was like, oh cool, I'll launch the book one. My other one, all the books are being shipped to me right now. I've got half of them ready to mail. I'll be ready to mail them out probably in 2 weeks, but I can't launch the pre-launch page until I go through and mark those all as shipped, which I totally understand, but I wasn't planning for that. So as soon as I get the books in for my last one and can mark them as shipped, then I'll launch the pre-launch page and I'll probably leave that up for, I'm thinking like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll do a full launch where I launch it right. Give it some time to like build up the following, like, hey, go follow the page. And then I'll launch after like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, something like that.
Yeah. I had heard about that. I mean, I know Kickstarter is very worried about, we've all had those campaigns that you get your money, it funds, and then like 3 years later, you're like, oh yeah, well, either you're lucky if it's like update, sorry, it's taking so long. Usually they'll just like ghost you, but there have been other creators, they just create new accounts for each project they do, which I know other creators are a little salty about, but
yeah, I wouldn't do that. I actually ran a campaign that took me a long time to fulfill. My horror book took me almost 3 years to fulfill everything because I had back surgery twice. My mom had cancer. Like a bunch of things just went wrong to where everything got delayed, and I felt bad. And so like it took me from 2019 to like end of early 2023 to fulfill all the orders because of just so much shit happening. But I didn't launch a new campaign until everybody got their stuff from the previous one. So I was like, I'm not gonna soil my name by saying I hadn't done it. But so I got everything out and then launched a new campaign. But I've backed many campaigns where I never got books or it took like, so long to get them.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be sympathetic because it's true. I'm often sad the wonderful, amazing things I could accomplish if I didn't have to like live in the world as a person,
Oh, for sure.
Cool. And how about you, Joel? How long was your pre-launch?
I had sort of like the page available. Well, like you couldn't view it, but the image was there and it was searchable. That was up since I had initially intended to launch in November. But then I didn't actually have it available for people to look at what I had to offer and information about the story. That only lasted about 2 weeks. Which in hindsight, I wished I would have had that up longer and ready to go.
Yeah, cool. Oh, shoot. And just to update about me, I'm actually going to be launching my first Kickstarter. We're now shooting. It was going to be late January. Now it's mid-February. For us, I hate to say it was completely me. It was that they wanted to fix some stuff with the scripts, and then there was some back and forth. What should change? What should stay the same? New script just went out Friday. We'll find out like how cool we are with it. But yeah, it's funny just all the stuff that can do and delay it. But anyways, we will be launching. It's called Aftermath. It is a superhero comic. It's the working class superheroes, the guys who have to clean up the messes that all the Supermans and Captain Marvels leave behind. And it's that thing of like when you have to clean up after people, sometimes you learn a little too much about them. And that's what happens to our team. And like suddenly the other superheroes are very concerned that they know a little too much about all the shady stuff that's been going on. So looking forward to it. We'll keep you updated. I think we will do the pre-launch page soon because I know Joel and I were talking about how much do you need. Like I'm waiting on key art, but I might launch anyways just so I have something, a link to send people to. But to turn it back to you guys, what are some of the surprises and challenges that you found, as you approach this new campaign or are in this new campaign? I'll tell you what, John, why don't we start with John?
Sure. So what always surprises me is always how much I forget how nerve-wracking it is launching and running a campaign. having done it more than
You
once,
suppress the trauma.
yeah, every time I'm in it, it's like nerve-wracking and anxiety to like wait for it to get funded, and if it gets funded, you're waiting for it like, are people going to drop out? Is it going to drop below funding? You know, kind of like playing that whole roller coaster of emotion for the whole time. But for the whole pre-launch portion, before you get started, it's all like the biggest issue I always have is making all the graphics for it. Not that they're hard, but it's like I always forget how many you have to make for a Kickstarter to make it look good. You have to make graphics for every item, for every reward, for all the tiers, for all the stuff, and to make it look good. And then you have to make a video and then a cover graphic. And it's like, I like writing and creating stuff. I don't like the admin marketing portion of being a comic creator. That stuff to me is not exciting, but you have to do it. You know, you have to force yourself to do it. So I always find myself like pushing it off like the very last minute, like getting everything else done and doing it the last minute and then working on that. But yeah, that's beyond that. Then it's always whenever you finally launch, like crap, I forgot this one thing. Like, you know, I always forget something and then have to do it after the launch, which is fine. You can always update things, but yeah, I always forget something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so different from writing, because writing you just have to like do it and revise it and maybe show it to people. Whereas actual business stuff, it's like spinning 3,000 plates at once.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And
And for all my,
yes, some of the plates always fall, you know?
oh yeah. And I've always done the art, and I've always done the art, the writing and stuff all on my own for my Kickstarters for the most part. So it's all like it all falls on me for it.
Yeah. Joel, how about you? What has surprised and challenged you in your campaign?
Yeah, John talked about some really good things. I for my next one, when I do issue 2, I'm gonna specifically hire out that initial concept artwork that's going to be what people see to get into the page. I just pulled a screenshot of my covers or a screenshot of a panel, you know, and use that. But you know, that in itself needs to be its own piece of artwork that draws people in. And I see some of the more successful campaigns, that's what they're doing. That's a piece of art in and of itself.
So you're saying they take the art from the comic and like change it in some way, or do original art?
A lot of it looks to be original art, or it's been like pieces of different covers that they've had digitally put together into one solid image, like not just like I've been doing with a screenshot. And it's there's looks more professional. So no, I definitely want to I need to fix that for the next go around. I think the thing that surprised me the most in my first launch, actually, I was overwhelmed actually in the first 24 hours with the number of spam messages that I received.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah. Like what are they? What do you get?
Constantly, I was receiving messages. They would come off as genuine, like, "Hey, I'd like to speak to the creator of this," but then like they wouldn't give any information. So I respond back to them like, "Hey, this is me. What can I help you with?" They're like, "Oh, I saw this about your campaign. I have backers that would love to help you. Blah blah blah. Pay me this much money and I can guarantee this and that." I counted 48 scam messages that I received in the first day alone. And that was taking away from the actual people who were messaging me, about tiers and, wanting to know specifics. And so I was, those first 48 hours, I was just like overwhelmed with messages, most of them not even being legitimate. So that caught me off guard. That wasn't something I had heard about prior to the launch of my campaign.
Yeah, no, I hear there's a lot of spammers out there.
Oh, so
like
many.
to the red. Sorry, what?
Oh, just so many of them. I got so many for every campaign I've ever done or been a part of or like help promote. I get those messages on Twitter or Instagram or Kickstarter like nonstop.
And is there, how should I put it? Is there like a red flag, or is it just like when they're saying I can connect you to backers?
It's that if anybody says, "Oh, I can help you out," it's a scam. It's a spam. It's a spam bot. Nobody. Besides someone saying, "Hey, yeah, do you want to come on my podcast and talk about it?" Sure, that's one thing. But it's like, "Oh, if you pay me money," it's no, you can go piss off.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
Some of them were even an early tap off too, were like saying like they wanted to report a violation of the Kickstarter violating a specific rule. And I'm like, this doesn't
your rule on your campaign, you mean? Or
yeah. And so I even pressed a couple of them, like, which one am I violating? And then and then like they wouldn't actually tell me, but they would say, "But we can help you do this." I'm like, go away.
Oh, we can fix your violation for 3 easy payments of.
Yeah. Right. And if I don't, they'll report me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, go for it, pal. Oh, man. The internet. Yeah. Okay, but hey, wait, but there's the good side too, which is yeah, you couldn't do this like what, 10, 20 years ago?
No.
Okay, cool. I think I might start wrapping up, but first, so say like what do you think the next stage of the campaign is? For me, it's nailing down the script and start getting in the art and launching that pre-launch page with that art. Yeah. But how about you guys? What's next for you?
For me is I have to finish up some graphics for the reward tiers that I've got, and then I've just got to get to where I can launch the pre-launch page, then dive into the heavy promotion, because I'll do a ton of promotion. I've already got like tons of graphics and videos made ready to be queued up. Once I have the pre-launch page going, then I'll just go into heavy promo for 2 weeks and then launch.
Awesome. Cool. Cool. How about you, Joel?
Yeah, I have 2 weeks left on my campaign, so and my final cover should be coming in the next couple of days. So once that happens, I'm gonna do one more ad on Facebook that'll run through the length of the campaign.
And you can target it to fans of this artist, or
Yeah.
like I know, I'm just wondering what the target for that is.
Yeah, I'm going to target the fans of the artist specifically. There's a Facebook group dedicated to him. He's been around since the '80s, so he's got a pretty large following. And I'm kind of banking that quite a few of them will back it just because of his art.
Oh, nice.
But then I've also got I'm 10 pages inked already for issue number 2, so it immediately turns
Great.
into this just happened. Let's roll into the next issue and keep building that momentum. Even if they didn't purchase this particular one, I've got copies that they can get after the fact, and hopefully still get that build up that fan base.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. And as we wrap up, if anyone watching this is interested in finding out more, for example, for me, you can find all my links and stuff, my Substack, everything, andynorval.com. Where should someone go to find out more about what you're doing?
For me, just go to y2cl.net. Just y2cl.net, and you get all my stuff there.
Awesome. How about you, Joel?
Yeah, you could search my name, Joel Thurmon, on Instagram or Facebook, or Dissenter Comics, and you'll reach me. And soon, worldofdissenter.com will be a website for my comic book. So the domain's bought. I'm just working on making it all look pretty. So
oh yeah, I have aftermath/comic.com. I was talking to Joel before the thing. Don't go to a place and search for the domain you want and then not buy it, because then it will get bought and you got to pick a new one. Because I searched Aftermath at GoDaddy and they were like, yeah, it's available. And then a week later they were like, oh, somebody bought it, but we'll try to buy it back from them. And then you dig a little and you find out they bought it. For a fee, they will attempt to negotiate with themselves to sell you back the very same domain that you had searched there a week later. So don't fall for that trap. I learned the hard way.
That's why I have .net and .com. I have .net, not .com, is because I had 16, 15 years ago, something like that. And so I said, screw, I just bought .net, and then I put the .com version on watch, and then eventually they just didn't renew it, and I bought it up.
Awesome. Oh yeah,
I'll probably try that too. And now I have both of them. But
cool. Well, yes, someday I will own aftermath.com, but I don't need it for now because I got Kickstarter. Anyways, thanks for doing our inaugural Kickstarter timetable, our Kickstarter roundtable. Sorry. And we'll check in a little later and see how the campaigns for everyone is doing. We might even have some new members. But until then, I'm Andy. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, John. And keep pushing your books.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.